Good evening, everyone. I must first of all congratulate Sarai for putting this thing together. I think I am proud to say that I have been involved with Sarai from the time it was conceptualized. So it's something good that they are doing, and I'm happy that they have taken up this cause. It's nice to see so many people. And thank you, Dominder, for your talk. He and I discussed this, and we decided that if I also come and start crying here, it's not going to work. I'm going to take a more pragmatic look at this whole issue. But for those of you who, I think there are a lot of people who know me, but those who don't know me, is that I have spent about 20-25 years studying wild elephants. I don't know too much about tame elephants because I don't agree about that totally. And I have done research at Udawalawe, and I presume I know a little bit of these guys and how they behave in the wild. But I got involved with captive elephants fairly recently. So elephants in captivity, yes, chains, cruelty. The emotions are pretty big. This is Jojo, no? In the African elephant in the zoo. Like Dominda said, he is always tied. All four legs are tied. And it's a pretty pathetic sight to see this huge African elephant just tethered there because he's too wild to be taken out. I spoke to the Mahout. He said, no sir, we don't take him out. We just managed to pour some water on him. So that's the life. So I fully agree with all those things. But I have eyeballed wild elephants 1 meter from my shutter when I have to slowly put the shutter up. And when you look into those eyes, you see the spirit, the wild spirit, you look deep into his eyes. When he's just looking at you and saying, what the devil do I do with this little thing? Am I going to smash the fellow, or he's too small, let's go. Now that type of thing I have seen myself, and I have seen elephant's eyes, deep into the elephant's eyes of a captive elephant. The spirit is all gone, as you said. It's dead deep down, sad. This is my son. He's equally nuts on elephants. He started when he was 2 years old with Manike, the big female elephant at Pinnavala. She was captured when they overran Prabhakaran's camp, and they found this was his pet elephant. And apparently this has been brought from India. We are trying to do some studies to see whether the DNA is slightly different. But beautiful animal, so docile. But you look into the eyes, you feel so sorry. So I am totally with all of you all. I'm on your side. I know what this is. But what I want to do, okay, and as I told you, because I had to get some information from other people, because my knowledge about captive elephants is not that good. I spoke to Jayanta Jayawardena, my good friend, who's a fairly well-established person in elephants, particularly with captive elephants. Renuka Bandaranaike, the deputy director of the Pinnavala Zoo. I have interacted very closely, very close friend of mine. Dr. Vijita is a wonderful person who handles ETH. Again, very close friend. I have done a lot of work with him. And of course, my good friend Dr. Sumit Pilapitia, who is not answering his phone now. I think I'm the guy who maybe spoke last with him to get some information, and Indika, the chief curator of the zoo. So let's see. We all are on the same wavelength. This is the utopia that we want. No elephants in captivity whatsoever. Elephants found only in the wild. And okay, religious festivals also, let's stop using it. That is the utopia that we are all hoping to achieve. But the reality is, let us leave our emotions aside for a moment, and let's look at this issue in a very practical manner. I think these numbers are reasonably okay with Dominda's. He sent me his presentation, but I think you made some changes after that, and after that I was out in Sigiriya. Pinnavala actually has 71. Devala Zoo has 8. 120 odd. Jayanta is not quite sure of the number. And the illegal is 35. You said 38. Could be, I don't know. So there are total 234 captive elephants in this country. Apart from that, there are 40 at the ETH. We'll talk about the ETH, the Elephant Transit Home. That's a slightly different kettle of fish. So, what strategies? Okay, let's see. We will say we are going to stop having elephants, tame elephants. But what do we do to these 234 elephants who are in the zoo, the Pinnavala orphanage, and with private owners? So that's what I'm trying to look at. So if we come up with a solution to manage these 234 elephants, will the problem be okay? That's my question. Okay, before that, the 234, remember, cannot be sent back into the wild. Maybe a few. In Pinnavala, we have sent 2 tuskers back into the wild without too much knowledge. They were tied at the back. They were wild. But they have got they have got used to living with humans so much that you never can rehabilitate them into the wild. But the Elephant Transit Home, on the other hand, I'll talk about it, that is, the process is all to send them back into the wild. So we have a situation, we have 234 elephants, almost 90% can't be sent back into the wild. What do we do with them? They will have to be cared for the rest of their life. We have to make a plan for that before we do this thing. I know they all came, as you know, in tourism. The whole Jingbang came to see me about elephants. We must set them free. I asked Otara, where are you going to send them? Down the road? You're going to take the chains off? Chains off, Srilal, chains off. I said, yes, take the chains off, but where are you going to send these blokes? Right? So we have to have a plan to manage this to minimum 234. So the next question is, okay, fine. If we work out a strategy to manage these 234 elephants in a responsible and humane manner, like Duminda said, will the problem be solved? Now this is where I come. There's a situation. We have a problem that there is going to be a constant input of calves. Let's say we stop the illegal capture. Until we stop the human-elephant conflict, there are going to be babies orphaned. Now that, don't ask me to talk about the human-elephant conflict. That's another, I can talk to you for one day about it. That's a very complex situation. So that's not within this purview. So all I'm saying is, we have a situation, right? We manage these 200 odd elephants, look after them till they are dead. Will this stop? No, it will not stop. There will be constant flow of orphans coming in from the wild, whether we like it or not. So therefore, my approach is, we have to first of all manage the 234. Then we have to minimize the elephant conflict, the human-elephant conflict, so that not many calves are abandoned. But that's, I won't touch on how we are going to minimize it. That's a very complex problem. And also develop and improve the Elephant Transit Home, because you're going to have these calves coming. We're not going to have any more captive elephants. So you must somehow create a proper mechanism for these fellows to be sent back into the wild. But remember, that arrow will be always there leaking into this. So my contention therefore is, we are never going to be able to totally do away with tame elephants as long as the HCC lasts, because there's going to be a constant input from the wild. Now let's look at some facts. The elephant is a protected animal under Sri Lankan law. It's a crime to capture elephants. There are no domesticated elephants. Elephant is very powerful, very strong and intelligent animal which has a very intricate social life. I can tell you stories till the cows come home about these guys, watching them in the wild. There are 224 elements which we have to manage, and the elephant is a very much part of our cultural life. So let's look at that. The elephant is a protected animal under Sri Lankan laws. What is the reality? That's the reality. We are losing about 250 elephants every year. About 60 to 70 people also die. That's the type of situation that is happening because of this human-elephant conflict. If you put it to in different numbers, by the way, all the photographs are mine except if it is otherwise mentioned below. 4 elephants a week, 250 to 260 relates to 4 elephants a week, and about 4 humans die every month, about 60 humans every year, divided by 12. And the grim reality is, quite often it's the mother who gets killed and the calf is left abandoned. So someone has got to start taking care of these calves. Even if we manage those 224 elephants, my contention is we have to put up a mechanism to keep looking after these calves. It is, as Govinda said, it's traumatized. It sometimes has disabilities. When they come in from the wild itself, before they are going through this other process for training. Look at this tusker. We can shout from the treetops about how bad Pinnavala is. This tusker was blinded by shotgun. He didn't come as a baby. He came when he was about 23 years old. He was looked after by Pinnavala for 19 years. Blind in both eyes. Yes, he was tied. He was taken for his regular bath. He didn't have too much of movement. All that. But still, this country looked after this elephant. If he was abroad, we would have put him down. I am very proud to say that even with the chains, we looked after this guy. He lived a reasonably. Look at the guy. He was really fit. In fact, we were worried that he was putting on weight and that he was not having enough exercise. What about Sharma? The guy who who got his leg blown up in the landmine. He lived for 15 years after coming to be the Pinnavala orphanage. Yes, he had to hobble his way around, all that, but still there was someone to look after him. This is my friend Vijita, who cares for orphan elephants at Pinnavala. This one evening I dropped in and a calf had just come, and they are working under so many trying conditions. You can see Vijita in sarang. He was brought from his quarters to look at this elephant. And I happened to be with him. And he said, let's go and look at this guy. And he said, look, Srilal, I don't know how to diagnose this guy. Are you going to Colombo? I said, maybe. He said, can you take this blood and take it to Colombo to analyze it, and so that you can phone and give me the report tomorrow morning. Now that's the way these guys operate. So what I'm trying to say is we need to sort all these things out before we can. Then the Hakkapatas. They put explosives into the fruit and give it to the elephant. This is Vijita operating on that elephant. Major operation. Now who does all these things? It's these people who are being cruel, right? There are people, good people who are looking after these elephants in this country, which we are very fortunate to have this wonderful. What about Namal at Pinnavala? At ETH. Right now they are fitting this fellow's artificial limb. Now this is the type of limb that the Pinnavala guys knew how to do, a bucket. The poor guy was walking around with it. And because of that he has got a big abscess here. But I managed to contact Thailand and look at the type of prosthetic they do there. So we are getting help from him there, from this doctor. And right now he is getting his second prosthetic as I talk. I hope it will be successful to fix it. So all these good things are happening. All these things must happen if we are going to sustain and prevent this cruelty. So orphanages and rehabilitation centers will be required. It's a crime to capture elephants from the wild. Now that's a photograph I took at Udawalaway. The elephant had been, the calf had been snared, like you said, with the rope, but he had got away. I reckon about 60 to 100 calves have been taken. As you said, no one knows the numbers. But however, large-scale capturing of elephants has not taken place in Sri Lanka for a long time, like the kraals. So now it's only these babies that we have to manage. I'm looking at a way of the various touch points and trying to work out solutions to solve this. So we managed to actually tranquilize the mother and with Vijita and remove this snare before the fellow's leg got gangrene. So the illegal capture, as you said, there seems to be a new interest now. Hopefully, if the laws are implemented and there is no patronage given to these things, it can be managed. So hopefully, the illegal capture we can manage. So I'm trying to see each of those inputs there. Then you talked about supply and demand. This illegal capture happens if there is demand. I'm bringing my management part of it. Captive elephants are required for tourism, work, religious festivals, temples. I'll go fast because Duminda has touched on this. Tourism, yes. You'll be glad to know, Duminda, that even Hotels Association is going to come out with a statement that we are going to phase out elephant operations. We can't stop it right now because we have forward contracted for weddings. That's the only thing that we'll be using it for, and that also will. And within 6 months, hopefully, we will remove elephants within the hotel to be used for any activities. Work, yes, a few elephants are still used for the work. Perahera, I have a different view, something similar. Why can't we have a trained core base of elephants in Pinnavala who are well trained? Again, I'm talking about proper training methods, I'll come to that. Who are trained, about 20 elephants, to go to Peraharas and have a proper lorry or something to transport them with mahouts. And then they can bring some income to the additional income for the for the orphanage to be well maintained. Of course, if you have seen elephants, you will see there are only 3 left now. Nadungamwe Raja, Bolawal Raja and Indi Raja. 3 elephants who have the characteristics who can carry the sacred tooth ready. It has to be of the highest caste, a Saddanta caste. I know some people will not believe it, but these guys are different. I believe they have something in it. So we might have to import a few of these elephants from Myanmar because we don't find any more of this with those 7 characteristics, and have a small pool just for that. As you said, the Dalada Malika Perahera is a very important thing only for that, to carry the Karandua. So there are, as you said, there are no domesticated elephants. They are wild. The wild gene is inside. And this is what an elephant can do. When I was doing my research in Udawalawe, this was my research vehicle. One guy didn't like us noting all his vital statistics, so he let fly. And that's a 4-ton animal, what he can do. I was not in the jeep, I was in Colombo. These guys ran up a tree and hid. So because of that, if you are having, what I'm trying to, my logic is you are forced to have a set of tame elephants. You have to look after these guys. So like Duminda said, this chain, there's a lot of talk about this chain. Now this is a chain that you put as a detraction to the elephant. If you look at carefully, this, when I was at Pinnaval, I did a lecture. I called this fellow up and I talked to the foreigners, asked me why are there chains. You can see the chain is just loosely turned around, wrapped around his neck and loosely on the front foreleg only. Why is that? Because if this 5-ton elephant suddenly decides to run, then his running is impeded. That's all they do. So there are different methods of using the chain. Yes, your chain with the spikes and all are terrible, but mostly this type of chain is a deterrent because you are dealing with a huge animal, right? The largest animal that ever lived in the world. Ever lived on land. Right? I think so. Am I right? Before the dinosaurs. Okay, current largest animal, right? If you must go right next to a big animal like this and a wild animal and see what feeling you get if you have been in the wild. So therefore, I believe that certain methods need to be looked at. So let's quickly look at, I said we had to manage the 230 elephants. Let's look at PEO, ETH and zoo. Pinnavala, Yes, it was the world's first orphanage. It was a good thing because we had orphans coming in, and if they were not looked after, they would have died. Yes, we have about 85 with the illegal elephants also now. But of course, when I talk to them, by the way, I am doing a little work with Pinnavela because I was asked to come and help, and I thought, okay, let me go and try. So I go there and I have been interacting with them. It's limited space. It was designed for 40 elephants, now they're having 87 elephants. The mahouts tell me, sir, what can we do? We have 20 cartloads of dung and we don't have anywhere to put it. So there's no one to help these guys. Overcrowding, loss of focus. It should have been some fantastic place for looking after orphan elephants. And now they have built a new, if you have gone recently, they have built a new water hole. So they don't have to go across the road and it's a more natural surrounding. There are a few things happening, some good things. I am looking at an optimistic way, this whole situation. So my strategy is develop a long-term plan to upgrade and manage the existing herd at Pinnavela. Yes, they are under certain problems there. We have to do something, find the help and do something. Establish one more, because once we start this process, we will have to, because Pinnavela can't take any more elephants. They are crying. The curator says, sir, I don't know what to do with these 17, 18 illegal elephants. As it is, he can't manage the 71 there. So we have to make another place somewhere else for another Pinnavela or whatever it is, who cannot be rehabilitated and who cannot be sent out. We must construct, you said about must. Now that's a big problem at Pinnavela. We have to tie the fellow. And he does hurt himself. So the answer is, I have got all the specifications. You build a large enclosure, which is called a bowmass. A strong enclosure with big trees, where this guy, if you have seen an elephant in must in the wild, he has to let off this testosterone going up to 100 times the normal level. Right? So you have to let him hammer his head against trees and stuff like that. So we must put something up like that. We must have a dedicated elephant hospital. Now the problem these guys say is, sir, we are looking after orphans, now we have to look after injured elephants. At the elephant transit home, we are looking after 40 fellows to send them back into the wild, but here we are getting injured elephants. We have to do major operations. So we should have, and also I believe we need private sector, public sector participation. The wildlife department can't do this on their own. Let me quickly go to the elephant transit home. A reasonably success story to manage this captive herd who's coming in, or captive elephants who are, the orphans who are coming in. Right now there are 40, 100 were released so far. The situation is we have minimal interaction with the elephant. They are sent out into a big field and they are only brought in to give milk. I have been to about 3 of the releases. This was one release in 2008. And the success story was Sandamali. She was released as when she was 8 or 9 years old. Today she is a big female who has 2 babies. She has integrated with the herds. So what a lovely story. So what I'm trying to say is we forget the nice stories because the wildlife department doesn't market this. I think we should be marketing these things. There are good stories also happening. So ETH, yes, we will need at least 2 more ETHs, 1 year Vilpattu, 1 year Vasgamo. Because what happens now, Vijita tells me, is he has to go in an open pickup truck to collect a baby elephant up north and bring the fellow all the way back to the ETH. Now just imagine that poor fellow has lost his mother. He's totally traumatized and he has another 8 to 9 hour bumpy journey at the back of a truck. So we must spread this out. So I believe we must have 2 more elephant transit homes. That's to the babies who are coming in, keep them for a little while, send them back in. Establish well-equipped rapid response units. When Vijita gets a call, he's looking for petrol. Believe me, I have been there. So we pool the money and get the petrol because there's an injured elephant to go and bring. Other countries, you have rapid response teams like a paramedics who go there, right? We must have. I mean, this today is not a difficulty. We must get these things. And with the private sector involvement, I'm sure you go to Hemas or Etisalat, they will sponsor one, right? For tourism, we got a fantastic ambulance in Beirut from the German Cultural Institute, from the German Embassy, totally donated. So money is not an issue if you go to the correct places. So the private sector, public sector partnership is important. If you have been to Kenya to see the David Shelbrick Fund, who is being looked after, and they use a different technique, it's intense involvement because they use the Masai, who are basically people of the jungle. The Masai sleeps with the elephant in the night. He becomes the foster mother. So unlike our case, when we send the fellow out, here the Masai goes with the elephant and lives with the elephant in the jungle for about 1 month, quietly weaning him off. He puts him out and then goes and hides in the bushes and waits for a little while, like that. So it's a very interesting story. So those type of things, I asked Vijita, he said, I have 35 mahouts for 40 elephants, and I have to go and look at when there's an elephant fallen somewhere, I have to go, I have to look after the tickets at the office. So this is the reality which I think we need to face. The Hivala Zoo is a bit of a problem. Less said about it, the better. Even though you didn't talk, this stereotype is that, I have heard people, oh, Pereira, he's dancing in the Pereira. He's not dancing, he's totally stressed out. That's a stress. I had a video, it's not playing, unfortunately. That's called stereotyping, swinging like this. And the elephant dance, believe me, I spent half a day with the mahouts trying to stop at least 1 or 2 of these things. But they believe this is a circus. So I said, do you understand that the circus is a bad word? It's people who perform in circuses, but the curators, the directors don't understand. Finally, they said they stopped the elephant standing on the stool. I don't know, after that I didn't go there. They promised me that they stop at least 1 act they will remove. But this is the story. They have built a small enclosure for water there, but nothing much. This is Toy Cross Zoo. I put this just to show how a good zoo can operate. They came to Sri Lanka, they used me for 1 week and went to Udawalawe and studied Udawalawe, and they had 4 hectares, I think, in the Midlands, and they set up this elephant paddock for 4 elephants, 4 acres. Just like Udawalawe, you can see those trees and all that. They took photographs. When I went for the opening. So it's a wonderful thing that sometimes here. The figures are very interesting. Do you know that Pinnavala earns about 731 million rupees a year? So where is all that money going? To the big black hole of the treasury. If part of that money is plowed back into rehabilitation, what a lot it can be. So the zoo, I don't think we have to phase it out. Maybe Hambantota or Pinnavala use them as an open range zoo, absorb the animals. Again, you can't just let these animals go. They can never live in the wild. Private owners, no, stop it immediately. I think we should just follow up and regulate the existing 120, and once they die off, we don't need, I don't think. Maybe you'll agree, maybe one other important thing about mahouts. This cruelty starts because of mahouts. I did a project with a French guy who came, and we found only 12 or 13 of the original mahouts who are there, who know how to operate with an elephant. It's a thankless job. It depends on the mahout. And those old mahouts, once they work with an elephant, they are with that elephant for life. And that elephant understands that mahout. And there is a certain bonding. But now it's just a job. I asked, last week I was at yesterday I was at CED, I asked one of those guys, he said, I've been with this big elephant only for 3 months. Now how do you establish? I told you these are very intelligent animals. So the mahout has to spend a lot of time like that. And this was an interesting story in the island some time ago. When the mahout was drunk in candy and he fell down, the elephant kept watch over the mahout for more than 12 hours. Amazing story. Because the attachment was so close. He didn't leave the mahout's place till he revived after his lengthy drinking bout. So strategy for mouths, I think we must find those 16 or 15 fellows, record them, take them to some place, write it out, video it, and keep it to train other mahouts. Because once they are gone, all these old methods are gone. And perhaps bring some of these new methods, which is rewards without using the bull hook. There are a lot of new things that are happening. Okay. Anthropomorphism. We should guard against trying to two subjects to finish up with. In this excitement to when we get emotional, we try to make the elephant human. Now it's very difficult to make the elephant not human because he is very intelligent, and I myself am guilty of this. If you have heard about Lawrence Anthony and the Tula Tula Game Reserve, these were deadly elephants. They were going to kill. They were going to cull some 14 elephants, I think, right? So he bought them and he looked after them for about 15 years. And when he died, these elephants walked so many miles and came and stood around his house. This is a true story, no exaggeration. So how do you explain these? So the elephant is really unique. This was a Facebook comment. I am very particular about Facebook. I am very active on Facebook, but I am very particular. Elephant started weeping. I have never seen an elephant weeping. So I went and I looked up, and there are some cases by very well-known scientists who say the elephants perhaps could be weeping. That level of intelligence is there. So it's important to remember that. So I myself have humanized Rambo to the extent that he is like an icon for tourism today. If you just Google Rambo, Udawalawe, you'll get all what I have done with the guy. 3 times I have saved him from being translocated, gone and begged the wildlife, don't do it. Because he has got acclimatized to people there. There's nothing you can do about it. So might as well let him be there. He's 43 years or 44 years, I think. I've known him from 17 years. Let him be, let him die his natural death. Why are you going to bother that bloke? He never comes onto the road. He just stands there. And someone said, no, he's going to get hungry. I said, what nonsense. You think this fully grown elephant who wants 200 kilos is subsisting on sugarcane and papaya you give him? No, in the night he swims across and has his feed and comes for dessert to the bund. He comes for dessert. He can't eat there and live. No way. I have seen the guy. So this is interesting. So be guard against that, and again be guard against criticizing and accepting. Today's internet is terrible. You get all kinds of things. I also get agitated. My gosh, this has happened. But then be a little mindful. All of you all are very interested in this subject, obviously. All I'm saying is, like Duminda said, when you go out and see elephants, look at them with a different eye. But when you hear about things, verify some of these things. What about Harambe, the gorilla? My gosh, there are experts all over. We should have done this, we should have done that. On my elephant page also, they are Srila, what do you think? I said, I don't know. I have never seen a silverback in my life, in the wild. I don't know. I know if you ask me about an elephant, I will try to answer, but I don't know. So I also waited till Jane Goodall and Franz Duval said, basically, a lot of things, very interesting. They said he carried the child with one leg. Now a silverback carries his children like that. He was not going to smash the child. So these are experts. When fools rush in where... So lastly, let's summarize what I said. It will be impossible to prevent orphan baby elephants being found in the wild who will need to be looked after. Majority of them can be rehabilitated rehabilitated and introduced back into the jungle. A few may need to be looked after because they have some permanent sickness or some disability. So therefore, you'll have to have several rehabilitation centers set up in the island, set up 1 or 2 good medical care facilities, manage the existing the Pindavala herd, phase out the Dehiwala Zoo, develop and train mahouts, train and enhance veterinary surgeons. By the way, when I spoke to Vijita Dev yesterday before we were going to Thailand, he said, please, Mr. Srilang, tell about vets, because he has only 12 vets for the whole island. Right? We have to, I mean, how are you going to manage that? Remember that these vets are not only looking at elephants. Right? Phase out private ownership of elephants, have a pool of well-trained elephants for use in festivals, and wherever possible, move into a PPP model. So whenever I talk on elephants or sustainability or tourism, I always end by this great man saying, the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals and environment is treated. So thank you very much. I hope I brought a different dimension to Dhuminder. And we are open for questions now, right?